Hi, and welcome to Introduction to Programming for Non-Programmers. I'm Norman McIntyre. I'll be your instructor. Let's begin with a course description. Learning how to programming is cool because in our world of technology, most technology is programmed. Everything from mobile devices to desktops to even these big back-end servers that you use, they're all programmed. And in this course, you'll learn how to do that. In fact, you'll learn the foundations of how to program using a language called JavaScript. And JavaScript is a computer language that's used throughout the world. In fact, you've probably already used it many times. When you use the web, many times you're using applications that were written in JavaScript. For example, Gmail is written in JavaScript. When you play many games on your web browser, they're written in JavaScript. What is particularly interesting about JavaScript is you already have everything you need on your computer. All you need is a web browser, and of course, you're using a web browser to actually view this video. But in addition, you need an editor, what's sometimes called a text editor, which think of it like when you use Word to write documents, you write text that becomes a word, maybe a memo or a letter. Well, here you're going to use a text editor to write code, and then you can display that code or run that code inside your web browser. Now, you're going to learn a lot about the JavaScript language, things that don't make much sense now, like for example, functions. You'll learn what a function is and how do you write a function. You'll learn how you use variables and what that means. You'll learn how to make decisions. Of course, today you make decisions. As a human, you make decisions all the time. Well, now we're going to find how to do it by using computers. You'll also see how you loop or how you do things repeatedly, and there's more as well. One of the best things about taking this particular course is it prepares you to take all the other courses that are offered here on our training. So this gives you the foundation you need to take other programming courses. So what are some of our course objectives as you go through here and learn the concepts of programming and learn particularly how to program in JavaScript? Well, one, you'll know how to write a program to display an output message. In fact, the classic first thing you have to do is say, "Hello world." So we'll see how we do that. We'll write a program to display an output message on the screen in your web browser saying, "Hello world." We'll also learn how to write programs to prompt you for input. So for example, you may want to ask a question as you're running through your program. You may want to ask a user, do you want to continue this program or do you want to exit the program? So you can display a prompt and respond to that prompt. We're going to learn how to use variables to store information. Think of a variable as like a box. It's something you can put something in. You might want to put a number in it, or you might want to put a word inside of it. You might want to put an image inside of it. And we'll learn how you use those here in JavaScript. We'll also learn how to write programs to make decisions. Think about as you're executing a program and you might want to ask a question, and based on the results of that question, your code may do one thing or may do another. For example, let's say you're writing a game program and you want to know which level do you want to begin. Do you want to do level 1 or do you want to do level 2? And based on the decision, your code would go one way or the other. And then there are times you need to write programs to repeat a sequence of steps. So you might want to do something more than once. Say you want to do something 10 times or 100 times, or maybe you want to repeat something until some condition is met. All of that you will learn as going through this course. So what are the prerequisites? First, I assume you're familiar with computers, and in fact, I know you're already familiar with computers because you're watching this course in your web browser. I also assume you have an eagerness to learn, and that's pretty easy too, because programming is ruling the world now. When you look at all these technical devices, Again, the mobile devices, desktop devices, servers, they're all being programmed. So the eagerness is easy because there's so much opportunity to learn how to program and then apply those skills in so many areas. So before we move forward, we will acknowledge that JavaScript is a trademark of Oracle Corporation. Let's look at the course topics. We're going to begin with an introduction to programming, kind of show you the big picture of what programming is about. We'll then look at the introduction to JavaScript. So kind of think of the first step, introduction to programming at a kind of the high level, and then look at the specifics of that applied to JavaScript. Of course, when we start looking at JavaScript, we'll learn what functions are and how you can write functions and make them execute. We'll learn how you have variables and how you make variables, declare them and use them. We'll learn how you make decisions, and in all of these, we'll learn the language of how you make the decisions using JavaScript. We'll look at repeating steps, so when you want to do things multiple times. And finally, we'll end up with a summary and give you some good pointers on where to go from here. So the system requirements, you've already got everything you need. You've got your computer with high-speed access to the internet for hardware. And for software, you've got the internet browser, and every browser has JavaScript built into it. So that's very, very nice. And every computer has a text editor, and perhaps you've not used a text editor before, but don't worry, we'll show you how to use it. For example, on Windows, Notepad is a text editor. And again, if you've not used Notepad, think of if you use Microsoft Word, Notepad and a text editor is very similar to Word, except instead of writing words for humans, you'll be writing words, in this case, for JavaScript. So after taking the Programming for Non-Programmers, this course will prepare you for many other programming courses. For example, there's a language called C programming, one of the oldest programming languages and one that's still very much in demand. There's also a language called Java, so you can take Java programming course and learn how to program in Java. There's then other languages like Perl, and there's Python. In fact, I could go on and on. There's lots of different languages. The ones listed here are some of the ones that are most in demand. And so by taking the Programming for Non-Programmers and then focusing on any of these other languages, you can then prepare yourself for various skills. For example, maybe you have an interest in iPhone programming or iPad programming. Well, you can take C programming and then Objective-C and then learn how to write iPhone programming. Or maybe you'd like to learn how to do Android programming. Again, by taking Java, you can go and then take Android programming. So there's lots of other courses, lots of other skills, and keep in mind as technology grows, all of these skills, the programming skills continues to grow in demand. So as we go through this, there'll be materials for you to download. You can get the student guide, you can get the exercise guide, and there'll be step-by-step exercises where you can repeat a lot of these demos that we do here in the course. So with that said, let's get started.